Welcome to the Sailing to Success podcast, the show created exclusively for entrepreneurs and small business owners looking for a safe port in the storm of fast-paced business growth. Lindsay Phillips is the founder of Smooth Sailing Online Support, a company dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and small business owners increase customer service, run their business more effectively, and increase their profits. Prepare to be inspired and learn some practical tips and strategies you can use in your business today. And now, welcome your host and captain for this 30-minute excursion, Lindsay Phillips.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sailing to Success podcast show. My name is Lindsay Phillips and I'm your host and captain for this 30-minute excursion. And for those of you that are new to my world and new to this podcast, I love helping other entrepreneurs and, not only motivate and inspire you to achieve more, but really share some practical tips, business building strategies that you can use in your business on a day-to-day basis and grow. So today I am super excited. I've been wanting to have this wonderful woman on my show for forever. So, I'm glad she's here today. So it's Ann Havenwood, and she, in case you haven't heard of her, is a serial entrepreneur and is regarded as a top authority on digital marketing, sales coaching, and online publishing business strategies. She has been named the top 50 most followed women entrepreneurs for 2017 by Huffington Post. And she's been called Chief Sexy Boss, which I totally dig, from her Amazon bestseller book, Sexy Boss, How Female Entrepreneurship is Changing the Rule Book and Beating the Big Boys. And others call her an icon creator or a wizard behind the curtain. Ann is currently the author of many books, including Bankruptcy to Sexy Boss and The Game of Dating and How to Play It, which is a real book for divorced men stepping into the game. She's actually got a nationally syndicated radio show. So she's the host of The Win, where she shares her incredible story of success and loss on the entrepreneurial journey and her happiness in a completely compelling and vulnerable way that audiences can really relate to and learn from. And she talks about achieving, the winner's edge from losing it all and discovering her true passion in owning her own business and serving her clients too by helping them really achieve their goals. So thank you so much for joining me, Ann.
Yes, thank you, Ann. And very Southern. It's okay. You could have said Ann.
Sorry, did I say that with a drawl by accident?
Okay. It's okay. It's what my mom did. Ann. That's when I was in trouble.
I know.
Ann was, she was happy with me, but it was like a Ann. I was in trouble, right?
All the tone of voice, man.
All the tone of voice, Mom. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. So, and honestly, I just, thanks for having me. Really, no kidding, Lindsay. And honestly, my job is to add value as much as possibly can, and just share my story, and hopefully, it'll inspire one person to go after what they want.
And that's the trick. And what really kind of got me, and I mean, some of my shows I do where it's, all tips and tools and stuff, and some of them are more story based. So I think you can really bring a great mix, because I'm really interested in hearing your story, what made you write the book From Bankruptcy to Sexy Boss? And, if you had your ups and downs and losses, I think people really would like to hear about your story.
Thanks for that. Honestly, all the tips and tricks you can have in the world are not going to do anything if you're going to have the right mindset, right?
Totally.
So, honestly, my story starts, I think, and I'm just going to kind of go a little further back, if you don't mind, because the world of it starts with, I think, a lot of women today, if I can say that I was told, I was grown up Southern girl, that my job was to go to college and then, get a job and then have babies. that was the career plan. And I mean, honestly, I think it was one of these, I don't think my mom meant to do that, but it was just like, that's what she was taught. So there we go. And I was always the rebel, like, no, I don't want to do that, So I went to Baylor University, and I didn't finish there. I actually failed out my first semester. Woo-woo, and I actually ended up graduating 4 years later, different college. But I laughed because it was the first year. Y'all can relate to this. I don't tell you.
Yeah.
I relate. I was sitting here with these girlfriends or friends in college, and I remember going around the table, like, what are you here for? What degree? And one of the girls like, oh, I'm here for my MRS degree. And I'm like, what's that? And I had no what that was. Just so y'all know what that is, it means getting married. MRS, Mrs. Okay.
That is so funny. I've never heard that before.
You haven't heard that? Yeah. Well, come to the South, right? So I didn't know it either. And I literally was like, oh, what's that? I never heard of it. And she's like, I'm here just to get married. And I'm like, oh, like, why would you spend all this money?
I know.
Like $300 per semester hour. It's something crazy. So that was back in the 90s. So you could get, that was expensive. I really got that. I didn't fit there. I didn't do well there at that college. It was a very Baptist, heavy religious, this is what you're supposed to do kind of thing. And I didn't do well. I was constantly rebelling. So I actually failed out, and I actually ended up going to another university. I worked my way through college. I started working for Southwestern Bell Wireless as a corporate B2B outside sales rep. And I was one of the only females in the office other than the customer support. And I was the only salesperson. There was a woman. I was 22. The average guy was 40 with kids, right? And it was my first experience. And the only reason I got the job, by the way, was not because they wanted a woman. It was kind of like a bet that I would fail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I won the bet because I was there for 4 years, and I actually beat all the big boys. That's why I call it beat the big boys.
Yeah.
And I was number one in the country. I have 10,000 reps. And I had this huge success. I was beating people like New York, Chicago, LA, and I was in a small town called Fort Worth. And so they really didn't have much of a, what I call, they underestimated me, right? And so here I am. I'm really just going way through college. I went to college at night and completed. And I never really thought this would be part of my story, but here I am at the top of my game. I'm like, this is what you're supposed to do, right? I make money for you, big company, and you give me a little of that. And that I am loyal to you and you're loyal to me, and this is how it's supposed to go. I mean, that's what I thought that it was like. And then I get this call one day from my boss, who was the only other female in that space. And she said, you're number one in the country. Congratulations, but I don't think you deserve it. And then 2 weeks later, she fired me.
Oh my God, what the hell?
Yeah. So it really threw my mindset, because I thought, I'm loyal to you. I make you money, company or manager, and then you're happy with me and we had this relationship and I have a job. That's what I thought life was like. So as I got fired, it really threw my mindset, and everyone was like, let's go get another job. And I'm like, no, that was the start of I just know I don't want that. I'm not sure what I want. I don't know.
It's like you can only rely on yourself.
Right. Yeah. And no one said to me, Heather, you should be an entrepreneur. No.
No one really says that.
No one says that. Yeah. It was more like, okay, well then go get married. And I'm like, no, not that either. And it was just, what do you do with that? So here's what happened. This is how and people love this story because they can relate. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting with my girlfriend who just got married, and she, with her I guess husband at the time, just got married. I was in their wedding, of course, and sitting there on a Sunday, and he's flipping the channel between whatever, and he stops for a minute. He goes to the kitchen, and it stops on this infomercial, Lindsay, and it's something along the lines of, do you want to control your life? Do you want to own your future? That's all I heard. I'm like, yes.
Damn Skippy, I'm in.
Right? And so it says you come to our seminar tomorrow at 1:00 at this hotel. And I'm writing it down. I'm trying not to, have my girlfriend and her husband see me. I'm write it down. And I totally lied to her. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go home and blah, blah, blah. Totally lied. Went to the seminar 1:00 in the afternoon in Dallas, Texas, and sat there, and they're doing a pitch. It's it's a pitch, right? It's a 90-minute pitch. And at the end of it, they're like, they sold me a $3,000 seminar, of course, right? To teach you how to, I think it was buy and sell houses or notes or something, right? I didn't care what it was. I was like, I'm in, right? If you're going to teach me how to create my own business, whatever it is, I will sell widgets. I don't care. I'm in. But I didn't have $3,000 because I just completed college. I just completed the job. They quit. They fired me. So I'm over here going, I don't have that. Right. And they said the magic words, which is totally use my womanness here. They said, but for your spouse, it's only $1,000. So I nudged the guy next to me. I'm like, hey, can I be your spouse? He's like, sure. What's your name? So he walked to the back, different last names, different address, whole thing. I'm like, I'm his spouse. I gave him my American Express card to put it on credit card debt, of course. And they looked at me like, wink. And they let me in, of course, because they took my money.
Hilarious.
And my spouse never showed up because it's it's a week later, the 3-day event. I remember registering. They're like, where's Jason or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know. He's sick or something. I made it up. So here's what happened. I ended up, the people in the back of the room were like, what's your deal? why are you here? You know what I mean? I was young by myself. They knew I was lying my butt off. So they kept asking me these questions. I ended up working for them. I started traveling the country, teaching people how to buy and sell houses and all this crazy stuff. And that's how I ended up in the speaking business.
Right.
Yeah. So, and they said, well, you're going to be a freelancer. You're going to be your own company. We don't hire, you're not our employee. And it was like, what's that? 1099. That's how it all started. And then I started a consulting company out of that, and on it goes. So that was 2001. Yeah. When all that went down. Crazy. That's how I got started in this business.
That is an awesome story.
It's a good story. I'm sorry I went too long, but it's such a great story because it's like sometimes entrepreneurship finds us.
Yes, totally. It's not a preconceived path. Like it's
not.
Yeah.
It finds us. Like you talking about how you went to an event, you're like, yeah, this is it. There's something that happens with an entrepreneur. I don't think they come out of the womb like, I'm Sarah and I'm going to be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? No. Like it becomes who you are, like a breathing.
Yeah, and it's a process, and some people are built for it, and some people are not. That's for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was one of those few things people always say, "Can you train a leader? Can you create a leader?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little in the entrepreneurship too. I don't know.
Yeah,
you teach someone business, yes, but can you really teach them that energy of being an entrepreneur? My theory's out on that. Theory's out on that.
I think we're a weird breed where we sleep and dream. I mean, my husband looks at me like, oh my God.
What's wrong with you?
Are you talking about work again? Yes. Sorry. Now, here's the next question for you. Where's the whole sexy boss thing come from? I mean, and I'm sure you get mixed responses from that. Like I love, women in business and strong women and decisive women. Like I'm passionate about that. But it's like some people could read that as like, what, you have to be sexy to be a boss? Like, so you can read it a couple of ways.
No, first of all, I totally get it. And I understand in the, I consider the porn world, or whenever you say that word, it's like, woo, it goes one way. Okay. So I completely acknowledge that, but there's a story behind there, and I'm really trying to create something new. And here's why. So from between 2001 to 2007 or 8 or 9, something like that, I was in that speaking business, and it was male dominated. So there were many times I was at masterminds, and I'd walk in and I'm at the table with this big mastermind paying $10,000 or whatever. And I belonged to the table. I was the only female. People were like, oh, whose assistant are you? Can you give me coffee? Oh. I mean, just, that was still to this day like that. Okay. But I mean, back then I was young, I was okay looking, and here I am in this business, and it was very like, oh, who do you work for? Whose assistant are you? Oh, you should work for me. I'm just like, I'm a business dude, whatever. But so I had to constantly be fighting. I felt like I was constantly fighting. So what happened is I became very masculine. What I dressed, I would cover my boobs. I wear turtlenecks. I would flats. I mean, I wore gray. You see me now, you're like, what? No way. But I was very masculine because I was emulating what was successful.
Yes.
And I was constantly trying to cover up my sexiness. Constantly. And a guy I was dating at the time goes, Heather, you could be in a burlap sack and be sexy. Like, you got to stop that, And I was like, but I'm trying to be serious. I want them to
you want to be taken seriously.
Yeah. I want them to know I'm smart. So I what I call really hardcore bulldogged it. That makes sense. I was
totally.
And I know that I was being B, you know what I mean? Beachy. So but I know how else to be. And I went through a transformation. What happened is back in 2005, I worked with a guy. He was my client. He was a speaker, and he's like, hey, why don't we partner? So I partnered with him, and he was the front, like the content, and I built his entire back end of his online business. So his landing pages, his affiliate, webinars, his seminar, all that stuff, product. And we went from $0 to $1 million in 1 year.
Wow.
We did very well because my expertise was marketing, copywriting, converting, webinars, speaking, converting that, seminars, all those pieces of the pie that he didn't have. He just had I know how to do this thing called buy and sell houses, right? So we did very well. And then I came home one day from a marketing seminar in Atlanta, and everything was gone. meaning bank accounts were cleared out, merchant accounts were rerouted, everything was gone. I literally had nothing. I mean, overnight, nothing. And I focused on this business, only this business. I cut all my other clients out. So I was dead stopped. And I went through, I was triggered into foreclosure within 30, 60 days. And then I had to be wiped out, bankruptcy. I had all this debt.
Oh, that's business. Awful.
So yeah, it really, I mean, it threw me into W2F. What is this?
I know. Well, you got screwed over the first time from that other place, and then
here I am. Right. Like, what this? What? You know, and it really puts you in a spiritual path when you go through that of what is this really about? Who am I really? Why even have a business? That corporate America thing looks really good.
Yeah.
You know, how about waitressing? You know, that marriage thing, just hanging on to a guy looks really awesome too right now.
Yeah.
And I really had to have a deep seated conversation. Now, this is not overnight. This was over like 3 or 4 years. Okay. That I had to go through the process of all that. And then I lived in an island called Marco Island for a year and kind of stare up to the sunset. And for someone who's a type personality like me, Lindsay, just kind of staring off was challenging within itself.
No doubt. I couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah. It's really, and I was kind of paralyzed at the same time. I was kind of scared to do anything because I just had this massive, for me, failure.
Well, but you felt it as a failure versus you being like burned?
I felt it as a failure for me. Yeah. I felt it like, why me, victim, what happened? Why did I deserve this? A lot of that self-worthiness. You know, why do people keep screwing me over? The man versus woman thing. Yeah. You know, cause that business, by the way, is still successful to this day. Right. So I built this thing and I saw how much, how many times, and this is just true, how many times men have businesses and behind them there's like a team of women. You know what I mean? It just happens all the time. And I felt undervalued. I felt like, when am I ever going to be the one? Right. You know, just why I don't want to do that again. There was just all these emotions to kind of move through. And what I got to, like all through all that, a lot of conversations, a lot of mentoring, a lot of crying, a lot of spiritual stuff going on. And this was my transformation, is that I got that couple things. One, I never given myself permission to fail.
Right. And
a mentor of mine said to me, Heather, you never gave yourself permission to fail. You cannot succeed in life until you give yourself full permission to fail. Number one. And I know as a female specifically, I think more so than men, is that this is my view, is that at a young age, right? I don't know about you, my mom was like, don't fail 3rd grade, can't go with your girlfriend Lindsay to 4th grade, right? Don't fail 5th grade, can't go with your friend Jack to 6th grade, whatever. Don't fail, don't fail, don't fail, don't fail, don't fail. And then entrepreneurs like, go fail. You know, and you're over there going, what? It really messes with your mind, especially females. I think we had this, for me, it was like, you gotta be perfect and you always gotta look good. There's all this drama around that. So I really had to look at that and give myself full permission to fail. That was number one. Number two, I got the being of entrepreneurship, like a being, like an energy, not a title.
Right.
Like who you are, who I am is an entrepreneur, and what entrepreneurs do is we create and we succeed and we fail, and we create and we succeed and we fail. It's what you do as being an entrepreneur. So even though I was sitting there in Marco Island completely broke, and I mean like no credit cards, no bank account, because why have it for $100? I mean, when you're literally at that and you discover this way of being, then it's going to be easier to go out and create the next thing because there's no pressure.
It's considered part of the process.
Yeah. So that was the beginning. And then in 2008, I moved to Austin because I thought, okay, someone told me once, you're not a tree, you can move. It's called U-Haul. It's a good line, right?
That is a good line.
Move. It's called U-Haul. Surround yourself with entrepreneurs. I tell that to a friend of mine lately. He's an actor, right? He's he's an actor. He's looking to go the next step, right? Always. And I said, okay, well then, you're not a tree, you can move. It's called U-Haul. And he's like, what do you mean? I go to LA. If you want to be big on Broadway, you go to New York. If you want to be big in Hollywood, you move to where it is. It's called Hollywood. It's called LA.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be in the tech world, you move to San Francisco.
Totally.
Right? I mean, you go be around. You're not going to try to go do that in Iowa, right? You're going to go where the people are of that space and surround yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. So for me, it was entrepreneurship. I want to be an entrepreneur, step into that more. So surround myself with entrepreneurship, which is Austin's where I'm at. One of the reasons why I did that, plus it was kind of coming home. I'm from Texas, so it was nice to come back. No taxes. Couple of things. So that's what happened. And then that's when I started writing the book of Sexy Boss. And someone said to me once, Joe Sugarman, who's the forward of the book, he looked at me and goes, "No, you're like a sexy boss." And I said, "Well, thanks. What's that?" And he goes, "Well, first of all, you're really tapping into your femininity. You're being feminine. You're being your own energy. And that's sexy. The boss is being responsible for all areas of your life." Right? So the sexiness, we call that in men's world charismatic. A man comes in dapper. It's like George Clooney. Like, who's that? We call that dapper, right? Who's this?
Yeah.
Stud? 007 George Clooney. Hello, right? We call that dapper or charismatic or sexy as a man, right? Or stud. For women, if a woman walks in the room and she's like, damn, we call that Bia, right? Or who the hell does she get? You know, all these negativities.
Yeah.
Or, oh, she's so confident. I can't be her friend or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, what if it was being a sexy boss as a way of being? And it's owning your feminine energy and owning you are as a woman and being the boss of your life in all areas of your life. And that's what sexy boss means to me. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Was that bad? Yeah. So that was the intention. And so when I tell people like who you are as a sexy boss, I really mean that on an energy level, right? Is owning who you are as a woman and a man. I call them sexy boss studs. And being the boss is boss of your brain, boss of your mind, boss of your mindset, your wellness, your health, your well-being, your money. Like it's the boss of being the boss of your life and not giving it power away.
I like that.
That's the intention.
Like feeling like you're in control.
Yeah. Yeah. And being aware, not giving up your power so much to other people. It's their fault, blaming, victim, right? It's ownership. And when you own all areas of your life and not be a victim, that's when you would call be a boss. You're being a boss.
Yeah.
The part is that energy. I stopped wearing turtlenecks. Like, you know what, guys, I got boobs. Hello. I mean, I'm not going to cover that up.
No. And be yourself and feel good about yourself.
Yes. It's that confidence piece. Mm-hmm. It's a lot better than saying you're confident. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, no, you're a sexy boss. Like, it's a way of energy. Like, yeah. Step into it. And that's what that whole journey is about. And that's how I wrote the book. I wrote the book for me. Mm-hmm. I wrote it to share my story. I wrote it as a way to say, if one person reads it, then it's a success. I wrote it for me, what I call my coming out party. And what I mean by that is, because remember when I was in going through bankruptcy, I was very ashamed of that.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend of mine was like, one day you can write a book. And I'm pretty sure I said some nasty, bad words to him in the moment. Like, no, I can't say hell no, basically, but a lot nastier. And he's like, oh no, one day you'll write a book about this. I'm like, no one's going to know about this. So here I am sharing about it because the intention is to empower others to the story. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many women that are, I mean, men too, obviously, but like they're hiding or they're playing small. Mm-hmm. And they're not jumping out there. So in your book, what kind of advice do you give for beating the big boys? Because sometimes it does feel intimidating as a woman to be your own boss or have your own business or feel like you're playing in a man's world.
Well, a few things. It's counterintuitive. It's one is stop trying to beat them at their game.
Right.
You beat the big boys with your own game.
Nice.
And that sounds counterintuitive, but I go back to when I was in Southwestern Bell at the corporate America. The reason why I was number one in the country really was because I kind of didn't. I was young, so I know what I was doing. You got to look back, right? I was doing what I call the close your ears and go la 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 la. Like I wasn't listening to anybody, la 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 la, and I was just focused on my numbers. Like just go, keep going. Yeah. So I didn't look at what other people were doing.
Right.
And I just was like going balls to the wall with my stuff. And then I just kind of looked up one day. I'm like, why people staring at me, and what, oh, look at those numbers. Wow. Is that good? Did I do well? And they're over there like,
That's
you
awesome.
killed it. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Now here's why they were mad at me. People always ask like, that makes no sense to me. Here's why they were mad at me. I built my first funnel. It was like 1998 or 99. And I'm over there working like 4 hours a day. And I built this funnel, no kidding, through a fax machine. And I built this like site and an email program so that all people had to do was like send me orders. And I would come in every day and I'd have a stack of faxes and they were all orders. And so I just fulfill the orders and then go home.
That is nuts.
And then they were really pissed. They were like, what are you doing? I'm like, and I didn't call it a funnel. I'm like, I just made it so it's easier for them to give me money. And they were like, it's really a marketing funnel. It's a direct response marketing funnel using email and fax in 1999. But I mean, that's why I was fired. They were mad because I was only working 4 hours a day.
Yeah. But you weren't playing by the rules. You were playing your own rules.
Right. I was smarter.
Inventive. And it worked. And they're probably like, why didn't I think of that?
Right. That's why they were angry. Right. So they fired me. But women are smart. We're very smart. And I think what happens is we give up our ideas over to men.
Yes.
And we think, look at this amazing. They go, oh, it's not going to work. Versus just like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to do it.
Exactly.
And then you're going to be like, oh, what are you doing over there? You know what I mean? That if women just took that on. Yeah. Things would change.
That is so true.
Right. But it's challenging for them. It's counterintuitive for women. Like for me, this is a great example of counterintuitive. So with podcasting, I have, I work with Interview Connections, as you know, but I've been on over 200 podcasts at this point, a year and a half in. And, those are not all Interview Connections. It's a combination. Most of those are from me going out there and asking people to have me on their show. And women will be like, what? Here's why. We are taught at a young age, don't invite yourself to the party. Right?
Yeah.
When invited, don't invite yourself to the party. Okay. And here I am going, hey, Lindsay, can you invite me to your party? I'm like, I'm knocking on your door like, what's up, Lindsay? You don't know me, but I want to be coming to your party. And you're like, oh, come on in. You know what I mean? That's very counterintuitive. Men can show up with a 6-pack of beer and like a hot chicken. They're like, come on in. They don't even know if they're invited. Who cares? They're there with like a hot chicken as a beer. Like, whatever. They don't think about, oh, I need to be invited to show up. No. They just show up. Women feel like, oh, you got to invite me.
They wait for the formal invitation.
Right. And you can't do that.
They're on the sidelines and hope something happens.
Yes. Yeah. You've got to like, oh, here I am. I'm going to add value to you and your listeners. And I want to be invited. You're got a party. I got a party. Let's party together. It's a very counterintuitive for women to do that. That's just one thing, but it's counterintuitive.
But I mean, sometimes all the focus is on you and you don't necessarily think about the other person. Like for me, when you reached out, I'm like, yeah, like I've been meaning to invite you for like forever and just haven't got around to it. So like for me, I was thrilled. It's not like I ever thought of like, who are you to?
Who are you to ask me? Yeah, you're right. Most people say that to me like, oh my God, of course, come on in. But the women, like men and women, like, oh, I don't want to invite myself. I'm just going to stand over here on the sideline and be like a cheerleader until they notice me. And I'm like, you can't do that. No. You've got to like walk on the field and go, hey, I'm here, get me on the field, because that's the only way people know. It's because people are busy. I mean, it's not personal. As long as you're adding value. My job is to add value, right? 100% add value. Right? That's my attention. It's my job. It's what I'm here to do is add value to you and your listeners. Right. So, but it's the counterintuitive piece of being the big boys that if women just tapped into who they really are and allow themselves to expand a little bit and not ask permission on their ideas, I think things would shift.
And I think too, part of that, Heather Ann, is knowing your value. I think a lot of women don't, they underestimate themselves and they don't value themselves. So they don't invite themselves to the party, so to speak, because of that.
No, yeah. I mean, I know about you, but in college, my mom would scold me if I showed up at a party or event or anything. Well, you invited. You know? No, I just showed up. Why would you do that? You know, so it's just counterintuitive.
Yeah.
A lot of business today is very counterintuitive. I don't think really men are beating women. I just think they're louder.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're really just louder. They underestimate themselves. And I was at an event last week that really hit me hard with this one woman. I'll share it. It's an event called I'm Empowered Women that just got launched, and I was the first member to sign up because I'm like, of course, I'm going to support you. And they're going around the room and they're like handing over the mic to people like, why are you here? Whatever. And this one woman stood up, don't know her name, can't acknowledge her at all because I can't even see her face, don't know her name at all. But she said, I'm an accountant for X amount of years. I've done like 320 companies I've represented over the last 20 years. And 5% of those businesses that I represented, they're all small businesses, 5% of those were owned by a woman. That stops today. And I was like, whoa, like 5%. And then she said, and every single one of those businesses that were successful, that were run by a man, every single one of them had a team of women behind him.
Interesting.
And she's like, that stops today. And I was like, gosh, she's so right. Am I? We all around, I looked around, there's some women, they were all like smiling, like, of course, we all know that. Hello, we all know who runs the business. But it's just that, when are we going to say no more? When are we going to say, I'm the CEO? We don't really need you. Move over when, you know, we're fine running ourselves. We don't really need that permission. And this is not a slam on men. It's just time that we step up into that role.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a slam on men. It's stepping up into that role. Yeah. So I think it's just time.
I love that. Now, for those of people that are struggling with that mindset, what kind of advice would you give?
To step into that role. Here's where I'll go with that. There's a quote that I'm going to give to you. It's really a life lesson, something to live by. Okay. That I was shared this advice at the depths of my bankruptcy, just to give you an idea. Like luckily I had my car paid off. So I had no car payment, and I had a cell phone. That was my only bill. And I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have a bank account. I had nothing. So I went to go see a friend of mine on the east side of Florida, and luckily he gave me $20 to get home. So and he paid for dinner, even better. So that's how bad it was. And we went to dinner, and he said to me, I want you to take this question and literally live by it. And I'm like, okay. And he said, here's a question. Does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? And I'm sitting there going, what are you talking about? He's like, look, start literally asking yourself that question before everything you do, anything. I mean, you know, eat the chocolate, or talk to someone about an opportunity, or take a job, or whatever. Like, really ask yourself that question. Does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? There's a lot of brilliance in that question. The first thing is, at that time in my life, I was swirling. Whenever there's an upset in our life, we swirl. You just kind of spin. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Emotionally and mentally, we're not making a lot of good decisions. We're just kind of spinning. And so it helped me stop spinning. And then I got really intentional on every little thing I did. Does this feed my confusion, strengthen my clarity? And I would see in the moment, you notice, you could hear it in your little voice in your head. And your being will tell you, right? Does this relationship that I'm about to go on this date with, does it feed my confusion, my clarity, you know? About to marry this guy, is that gonna, I mean, you know, it goes everywhere. Yeah. So, and even on this podcast, you know, being on the show, does it strengthen my clarity or cause confusion? Hopefully it strengthens clarity for me, for you, for listeners, right? That's the intention. Now, why is that so important? When we are grounded, when we're clear, we have power. When we have power, we can make decisions.
Yeah.
When we make positive decisions, that's when we can make money. So that goes back to your question of what I suggest for anyone in the mindset is starting to get what I call grounded and clear. And the clarity might be really small. Like, I'm not going to eat the chocolate right now. Okay, great. You're clear. You know, it starts there. So it's really simple. I'm not going to go on go out with that person. That person doesn't really make me feel good. Okay. Right. You know, really small steps before you do big ones. Like before I go with a project or hire somebody. I'm like, Is it going to feed my confusion, strengthen my clarity and their clarity? I make sure it's on both sides, right? Because if there's any confusion causes upset. Upset causes bad decisions.
Right.
You know? So it's owning your power. That's what I would say to that.
That's awesome. That's really good advice.
Thank you.
I'm sure it takes habit, like to do it, if you know what I mean, enough that it becomes ingrained in you.
Yeah. I mean, I have it sitting here in front of me every day.
Oh, do you?
So, yeah. I'm staring at it. Yeah. Literally on the same piece of paper from like 2008.
That's
Right?
awesome.
At dinner. I'm like, okay, can I write that down? Because I was spinning and everyone's giving you advice, you know, and everyone's telling you need to do this. And I'm just over there like, fearful and panic, paralyzed. How do you create from there? How do you move? You can't. So it really is something to take on. You just ask yourself that question over the next 5 days and see how your life shifts.
I'll do that. I like that question.
Great. Take it.
Because it's easy, especially for entrepreneurs, to feel like it's spinning and there's so many options and, you know, you're fearful of making the wrong decision and, you know, screwing things up for yourself because it does affect your life and your, you know, your finances and all that good stuff. And I love your advice too on accepting failure. That failure is, you know, there are going to be failures along the journey and it's okay. And it makes you stronger and it makes you make different decisions and your path goes a different way. I think we're, as women too, we're always focused on being perfect.
Mm-hmm. Way more than men. Men don't care. We, you know, men play with G.I. Joes, right? We play with Barbies. I mean, come on, you know, so G.I. Joes are like in the dirt. Barbies are like,
perfect.
So it's horrible. I'm so anti-Barbie because of that. Anyway, but I mean, as far as the failure, I'll just add one piece to that. When my friend's telling me this, the mentor, you know, he's on the couch. We're having this like coaching session and I'm like in tears, you know, I'm like, oh, my life is over. And he said, I want you to take a piece of paper. He gave me a pen and he's like, I want you to just literally write as I write, as I say. I was like, Heather, and I'm writing, give myself full permission and license to fail. I mean, I could barely write it. I'm like totally just tears, right? Just falling. And he's like, I just want you to get how much I want you to give yourself permission and license to fail. Now, when you're in the middle of failure and you feel like a failure and someone's saying, give yourself permission to fail, you're like, I don't need to, I've already done it, you know? So it's weird. It's again, counterintuitive, but I got it. I get it now at a core level of like, I do give myself permission to fail, but I also give myself permission to succeed at the same level, you know? And when you see people who succeed really big, you always hear, if you really listen to them, a big failure that happened before or, you know, somewhere along the way, maybe not initially before, and it's at that level of the risk of failure is the risk of success. Yeah. And it's a universal law. It's not personal. It's a universal law. So once you get that, really opens up the world to you and your choices.
And it's funny, Heather, because I think I was meant to interview you today because last week I was a bloody wreck and I was feeling like on that edge of failure and I was freaking out and too overwhelmed with work and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I was so paralyzed by fear of disappointing someone or failing. So thank you for that story because it hit home for me. That's for sure.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's true though, but it's what I don't want people to hear is like, you know, let yourself off the hook.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
It is letting yourself off the hook. It's both. It's like allowing yourself to not be perfect and it's, God, I can't tell you looking back, it's like, oh my God, it's so much easier. Life is so much easier when you give yourself permission to fail because then you start doing stupid shit. You know, you like create something. You're like, oh yeah, I didn't think that would work.
Works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, you'll do stupid stuff and you're like, oh, that worked. Look at that. that's crazy. You know what I mean? Or, I have a podcast out there that's what I call in the graveyard iTunes. It's somewhere the deepest of depths of iTunes. It's called Sexy Boss Show. I launched it and I put 5 episodes out all at the same time. And then I just waited like, okay, that's it, right? What do I do? And it just sat there like, okay, and that was a big failure. So that's okay. That's all right. I just launched one 6 months ago and it's doing awesome. Right. But I failed.
Experience. But I find like you can be paralyzed by fear.
Yeah.
And then you're not doing anything. So right. Feeling is better than not doing anything.
For me, I'm going through it right now myself. Constantly. Right now I have this total fear of failure around video.
Really?
Oh yeah, totally. Because being honest, I had this conversation yesterday with my coach. So I'm just telling you is that I have it. There's a lot of, women out there doing videos and they're like, they look, excuse my language, effing perfect. And I'm like, look, I ain't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to go to the hairdresser. I'm not going to do like 5,000 hours of like makeup.
Yeah. Studio and the whole 9 yards.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because I tried it. If you go on my YouTube, you can see I did like 6 or 7 videos like that. Yeah. Are they awesome? But it was such a pain in the booty and it was so not me.
Yeah.
I have a coach right now telling me like, you seem to be you in the camera and be wearing whatever, what you wear every day. And I'm like, oh no. No.
People can't see that I'm not gorgeous and perfect every day.
Exactly. They're like, no, that's part of it. And I'm like, no. So
I know
this myself, and so he's pushing me right now. So I'm sure you'll find me later because where I go in my head, like my makeup, my eyes don't look that great.
Have you seen my videos? I look like hell on wheels.
No, see,
but I'm like, I have to get over it. I'm just like, I envision what Jim says to me. He's like, suck it up, girl.
Yeah. But it's a woman thing because last week I was on a podcast, right? And we're getting all together and he goes, by the way, it's a video. And I literally was like, what? No. I'm like, you have to tell me these things.
I know.
And he's like, what? I'm like, you're a dude. God. And so I'm like, just a second. So I have to like run off to the bathroom. And he's like, what'd you do? I'm like, I am a female video. You cannot do that to me.
No, you can't. That's not cool.
So anyway, he's like, whatever. Meanwhile, the guy like just rolled out of bed.
I know.
Right. So it's not fair. But at the same time, I just, something like that, that's my fear. I'm just being honest.
No, that's good. I appreciate your honesty. I have the same fear myself. But I do it anyways.
Yeah, well, you're better than me on that. I'm moving through it. I
know. I have a client that's like that too. And she's like perfect and gorgeous. And I'm like, would you do your damn videos? I keep bugging her. I'm like, do a video. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, she can get up on stage and speak. And I'm like, I don't understand that fear when it's like.
Yeah, I totally get it. So thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
Yes. And yeah, go do some videos, girl.
I am.
Awesome. So how can people find out how you can help them and dive into your awesome content?
Yeah. So if you're, so a couple things, interested in working with me, go to Havenwood.com. In the upper right-hand corner says work with Heather. I'd love to get a call with you and see if there's a fit. If not, I'd love to give you 3 free chapters of my audiobook of Sexy Boss. You can only find it Audible. So I give away 3 free chapters, and there's 2 ways you can do that. You can go to www.sexybossinc.com, or you can text the word sexy to 72,000. So that's text the word sexy to 72000. And then it'll give you 3 free chapters on your phone while you're working out. You can listen to me talk about Sexy Boss. Awesome. So there's 3 ways. And then you're welcome to check me out on heatherhavenwood.com, Twitter/Facebook/TV/Amazon. Those are all my links. You can just / they're all there.
Perfect. What a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on my show. You are a hoot and you have some great insight. That's for sure.
Thank you. You're a sexy boss, Lindsay.
Thanks, girl. Awesome. So that is it today, folks, for this episode of Sailing to Success podcast. Please go to lindsayphillips.com to listen to this and my other episodes, my videos and blogs. And of course, if you need help growing your business and implementing your own podcast videos and blogs, you can, of course, go to ssonlinesupport.com. So until next time, folks, I, of course, wish you a productive and profitable week, and may the winds always be at your back.
You've been listening to the Sailing to Success podcast, the show created exclusively for entrepreneurs and small business owners looking for a safe port in the storm of fast-paced business growth. To make sure you don't miss a single profit-boosting show, subscribe to this podcast at iTunes and www.sailingtosuccesspodcast.com. To learn more about how Lindsay and her team can help you increase customer service, run your business more effectively, and increase your profits, go to www.ssonlinesupport.com. That's www.ssonlinesupport.com. Now go and implement what you've learned and come back next week for more Sailing to Success podcasts.